Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. Right, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on how to dial in effects, and I was using reverb and delay. Now, what I thought I'd do today is to show you how I dial in overdrives and distortions, that sort of stuff. What I'm going to be using today, if I go through all the gear, is a Les Paul, a Super Overdrive, a reasonably priced overdrive pedal, a compressor, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute because a lot of you might be thinking, why is he using a compressor with overdrives? And I'm going to be using this TubeWorks 2864S amplifier. The 2864 amplifier, you can think of it like a sort of low-powered AC30, that sort of sound. It's really chimey and sounds fantastic. With nothing on, just the amplifier, the guitar sounds like this. So quite a traditional sort of clean sound. Now if I set all of the controls to the Boss Super Overdrive to about noon and switch it on, it sounds like this. I love the Boss Super Overdrive. It is a reasonably priced pedal. I think they're about sort of £60, something like that. And they compete with a lot of the more sort of boutique pedals. They do sound absolutely fantastic. What you'll notice about the overdrive tone, if I play a couple of chords, you'll notice that there's a layer of clean tone or the guitar tone coming through without the overdrive. It's a great tone and actually better sounding than I thought it would be with everything set to 12 and the amplifier set as it is. The first thing that I want to do is to set the amplifier up in the way that I feel it will complement the overdrive pedal the best. So what I want to do is to set the amp up so it slightly breaks up. Now I can change my dynamics in my playing to either clean up the sound of the guitar or to make it more overdriven just by digging in a little bit harder. Now with a valve amp like this, there's two ways that we can do it. We can either get preamp distortion or preamp overdrive, or we can get power amp distortion. I'm going to use both for this. So first of all, I'm going to set the preamp just so it breaks up. So if I strum hard, I get some overdrive, and if I lay back a little bit, so there's the first part of the tone that I'm looking for. Now with this amp, it has something called a wonder volume on it. So the master is going to be slightly different on this amp than it will be to possibly the amp that you've got at home, because this master volume is actually quite good at a low volume as well as a more sort of higher volume. What I want to do with the master volume is to get it so the amp just opens up. Now if I play a chord and I change the master volume, you'll hear the amp sort of sound a little bit choked and then just open up. So just as I dialed up to 6, we started to get some more power amp distortion. Sounds like this. Now to me, the amp has now just opened up. I can still play with dynamics and clean up and even use the volume on my guitar if I want to, just to clean up the amp some more. But that is exactly how I want that amp to sound. I should say, to get the master volume this loud, I am using an attenuator. If you've got a valve amp and you can't turn it up that loud at home or on stage, I would highly recommend getting an attenuator. Something like a 2 notes, an aux. Red 7 make the Amp Central Evo, which you can attenuate by 50%, and that does sound absolutely fantastic. So I'd highly recommend checking out one of those, and then you can get your amp to that sort of stage. Now, if I bring the Super Overdrive pedal, we're starting to get a nice amount of bluesy or more sort of rocky bluesy sounding overdrive. but we've still got dynamics. Now, if I increase the overdrive on the SD1, you'll hear it's quite subtle, especially as you get past 12 o'clock. It doesn't do that much, but it just adds this little bit of extra sizzle to the top end. And now we've lost that perception of the clean guitar coming through the amp, because what we're doing, we're driving the amp a little bit harder, so we're losing that clean signal. You tend to get this a lot with pedals like the SD1 and a Ibanez Tube Screamer, where it lets in a little bit of that clean signal. Now, as we push the amp that little bit harder, it's doing less of that, sounding great. Now, what you'll notice here, if I sort of chug some chords, it's fairly tight. It is fairly tight in the bottom end, but it could be a little bit tighter. So that is what I'm using the compressor for. The Keeley compressor works really well because, one, it's got a switch where you can switch from single coils to humbuckers. It's got a little EQ control here where you can boost the top end going into the front of an overdrive pedal or at the front of an amp. And you've also got this blend control. The blend control is the most important thing here, because what we've got here is I can blend the amount of compression in that I want. So if I take the overdrive pedal out and I bring in the pedal, so we've got a tiny amount of compression going on, but because I've got the mix rolled all the way back, there's more of the clean guitar signal coming through. If I turn the mix up full, we're going to get maximum compression. So it doesn't matter how light I play. It's always going to flatten out my dynamics. So what I like to do is to have the mix all the way back, or say about 9 o'clock. So I'm still allowing dynamics through. Now the tone, you'll notice that I've got dialed up. If I dial that all the way back, it's just adding this extra snap to the humbuckers on this Les Paul. Now, if I bring the overdrive pedal, turn the compressor off, and now bring the compressor in, I've got my ideal amount of overdrive. You get all of that sustain. And you still got loads of dynamics. Now, I think one of the most common mistakes that a lot of guitar players make is using way too much gain. Now, some of you might be listening to the amount of gain that I've got going on with the Super Overdrive and the amp and thinking, well, that's too much gain. Well, for me, as long as there's dynamics in the overdrive, I'm fine. The last thing that I want is the gain so high that it doesn't matter how hard or soft that I pick, the dynamics isn't coming through. I really want the dynamics from my playing to be able to translate across through the amplifier. So there you go. This isn't a sponsored video, by the way. This is just a couple of pedals that I pulled out of my pedal drawer and stuck together because I wanted to demonstrate how I get those sort of distortion tones or overdrive tones. I'll leave a link for all of this gear in the notes below, so if you want to go and check it out, you can do. It is an affiliate link. If you want to go and click on the affiliate link, it does help me out, and especially if you're looking for something like an SD1, which will cost you about £60. It won't cost you any more to click on the link, but it will just help out the channel. So there you go, SD1 compressor and a great sounding amp. That's all you need. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to do more of these sort of videos. If you did get something out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Click on the bell button and you'll be notified of any future video that comes out from the Studio Rats. I'm Paul, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.